Hello and welcome to MotorInc First. Today, X marks the spot because we are discussing some of Karthik's favorite cars. Not in the sense of he's staying up night dreaming about buying one, but in the sense of he's tested it and he came back really impressed. We're talking about the French croissant Citroen. What was it?
Go for it. Citroens.
And we're discussing two of them this time, right? The
Correct.
Basalt
And the Aircross.
and the Top Alt.
And the
Basalt, the Top Alt. No?
Aircross.
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 Yes.
He has a great French accent. If you haven't heard it and you're new to MotorInc First, I think we should definitely go there. Please tell us in the French accent, what is the top level? What is this X thing?
What is the
X thing.
X thing?
Yeah.
I'll do the accent later.
No. Now,
No.
with the accent, what is the X thing?
So X is basically...
In this accent.
Later.
The accent. I insist.
I'll get distracted. The X... So since they launched, and it happened with both the cars, the Basalt is the one that we did a MotorInc First for,
Yep.
right? So we've not had the Aircross as a MotorInc First.
No, we had a view.
We had a view, right?
had a view.
Yeah. So even C3 was just a view. We went straight in. So the Basalt was the first time we had a Citroen on MotorInc First, right? And the thing was, you experience the product for the first time and you're like, man, you like so many things about it. But you immediately see the gaps. And I think that's been the repeat conversation. And you asked me exactly this when we spoke about the Basalt. And you said, again, it's the same story. Great car, but no appeal, right? None of the...
Yeah. Low appeal, poor packaging, and therefore a general lack of desire.
Like that superficial excitement that people need to at least walk into a showroom, right? To think twice about a product. I think that was what was missing in the car. And if I look at these two cars now, so what they've done is they've taken the Basalt and the Aircross. Okay, wait. When the Basalt came, Citroen actually upgraded their product lines. They added more features. So they brought more features to the Basalt. They added that back to the Aircross as well.
Right.
So they had small things going on. Like, they didn't have powered ORVMs and things like that. So they added those in at that point in time. Different headlamps. I don't remember the details exactly, but a lot of what they brought with the Basalt, which made it feel more complete, was added back to the Aircross and to the C3. But it still didn't have the must-have wow factor, right? I think that was still missing in the cars. So what has happened now is that they've brought in the X versions, which bring in that X factor.
Okay.
And calling it the X factor is a bit of a stretch. What they've done is match the hygiene for expectations in terms of the feel-good factor that people today would want.
For a competitive car.
Correct. So quite simply, if you look at these two cars, I'm going to straight up say, this, we've discussed this before, great cars, fantastic cars in so many ways. Now, if you wanted to buy one, you have no reason to say, it's not going to cut it. But if you were looking for reasons to not buy one, you still have enough reasons.
Right.
There are still those small things, because this is like lots of interventions that have happened, right? You can think of it as 3 interventions that have happened to bring the product to this level, which means you started with a fundamental concept saying that this car has to be super simple, super affordable, super value, very practical, all of that. But then you had to change your plan to make it more lifestyle, to make it more appealing.
Correct.
So you can do some of the things, but you can't do all of the things in the process of just updates, right? So one of the things which people will keep talking about is that it still has those flap type door handles. And I'm saying it because the Basalt and the Aircross are effectively the same car with different body styles, and they do have certain differences which we'll get into. But the thing that people are stumbling over again and again are those door handles. And I don't get it. If people are okay to buy pop-out door handles which are not even motorized, then there is no reason to complain about these. These are easier to use. They are functionally fine. They feel solid. They are good to use. So if you are saying that it has flap type door handles and therefore I won't buy it, see ya. Makes no sense. Right?
Wow, you're feeling like
it's stupid.
Flap over this.
Yeah, I am. Because we have a direct parallel with these pop-out door handles, which are just stupid. But that stops nobody from buying one. That stops nobody from saying that I will not buy this car because it has pop-out door handles which are not even motorized. Right? That is okay, but this is not okay because this is old. And this has been categorized as old. Correct? but functionally, what is it doing? Okay, agreed. There are better designs where now this door handle thing discussion has gone on so much. Why are those other handles which are not the flap type versions better? Because you can use it either ways, whichever way your hand grip is, right? It doesn't require you to think about it. You can just go out. It's more practical.
Yep.
That is the main thing. In this, you have to go under. That's your only option, right? That's the small thing. Is it a deal breaker? Should it be a deal breaker?
But if people don't want great suspension and great interior space and great seats, and that subtle difference between the drivability of the Basalt and the tourability of the Aircross or whatever, it's fine. I mean, what's the big deal?
Okay, this is awesome.
Some people just want sliced bread and they don't care that a baguette is an older kind of bread, but it is the nicer kind of bread, and it's fine.
Lovely bread. Yeah. So I think so. Some people, and for the people who are here with us at MotorInc, we understand that you are looking for the deeper meanings and nuances, and which is why I'm being very clear. Don't be swept away with this nonsense that goes around, floats around as gospel truth and must-haves. Let's not do that. Let's be clear about it. You may find this to be uncool, but is it a problem? Right? Let's be clear about that. It's not a problem.
No, it is actually a problem. I remember driving a car with a flap handle, I think it was Maruti 800, into a 5-star lobby. And that person who opens the door for you and expects a tip for opening the door, he physically recoiled saying, a flap type door handle, no freaking way will I touch that. If it's not a non-motorized flip type handle which pops out, I am not touching it.
Okay. So if that happens, sorry for you. But so there is another thing which is still there, and these are some of those things that others misses. Like it still has that metal keyhole thing on the door, which is still there in steel, so it stands out. So it's still visually there, and you kind of like, okay, I wish that was not there, right? But the good thing is now it has got keyless entry and go, so you don't have to look at that part much, right? You just go pull out the door handle and you're in. And it also has a start-stop button, and so all of the key interactions are taken out of the equation. So they've done lots of those small interventions throughout. On the outside, there's really not much that has changed.
Right.
On the outside, these two
And
cars,
I don't remember you criticizing the design from the exterior particularly anyway.
Yeah.
Like on the Citroen, I remember you saying that, oh, okay, it could have looked a little more upmarket, and I don't remember that being the discussion for the Basalt or the Aircross.
No, I think the Aircross is such a handsome looking car. It's really, somehow whenever it's turned up in office and it's parked outside, so we're on the ground floor, if you have a glass facade, so we can just look out at the cars that are parked, which is awesome. And you're looking at it and you're just like, man, that thing looks good.
Yeah.
It just feels so
It looks different and it looks good both.
It looks solid, yeah. The Aircross has that solid, functional kind of feel to it, and the Basalt is a very different feel again.
Yep.
But both, in their own ways, different personalities, and that carries through to the experience with the cars as well. So just quickly, on the outside, the only real difference that you'll notice now is that there's the X badging on the tailgate. That's it.
How do the French say X?
I have no idea how they say X. I don't think they'll ever say X, right? So the only visual difference really from a feature change standpoint is that now the fog lamps are also LEDs on this higher end variant. The big changes are on the inside.
Okay.
But before we go there, you already touched upon this. I want to get through this.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So Shumi spoke about the Aircross and the Basalt, how we appreciate both the cars, but both have different flavors and purposes. And it was lovely to revisit that again, having both the cars together. So the first time when we drove the Basalt was in Goa, and we just got a chance to spend some time with the Aircross. So we had said that we have certain thoughts, we think this is how they stack up. And it turns out that's exactly the case. The Basalt.
Were you surprised by how accurate your feelings were?
It feels,
because I'm never surprised by how accurate your feelings are. I'm a huge fan.
Thanks. No, I mean, it's been a long time. So, somewhere you start, the granularity goes away. So you kind of...
No, it doesn't. You only imagine these things. You're not as old as you think you are, Karthik.
Okay, thanks.
You're not as old as a flap type door handle.
He's too cute, man. So the lovely part
No,
about
hang on a minute. You're glossing over this too quickly. Are you part of the Kartikeya Singh fan club, KSFC? I'm member number 1. Tell me your membership number in the comments. Please continue.
okay. So in a way, you think about it as two cars that are catering to two different customers, even though they're on the same base, and it is so clearly that. Like the backseat experience for somebody who wants to be driven around, who's more family focused, is looking for that one car that will do it all. The Basalt will make so much sense.
Right.
Like, especially if you're the kinds who's going to be driven around, you will love that. It has all the differences that we had felt then, which is that the suspension is more plush. It has the smaller wheels. It has 16-inch wheels versus the Aircross is 17s. The suspension tune feels more plush. The sound insulation in the back seat is better. And we qualified this swapping between the cars. And the sense of space in the back seat is all the little things, right? The seat base is a bit lower, but it's a bit more angled. So you just have this more relaxed seating position. So it's like a laid back feel in that car. And comfy, like that suspension does work. The one thing that was the stumbling block was the automatic. So they have two engines, right? They have the 1.2 liter naturally aspirated engine, which is available in the base variants. The only ones that we've driven right now in both these cars was the higher end engine, which is the turbocharged 1.2 liter with the 6-speed automatic.
Right.
Now, when we drove this last, this combination was a little bit of a sticking point.
Okay.
And which is to say that it felt a little jerky. So you'd go on, you start accelerating and do that like delayed response and then sharp response, right? So that was a thing that was an issue with these cars, which kind of marred the experience. Now, with these two cars, again, when I started first with the Basalt. Now, in the Basalt, when I started driving it, you felt that the throttle is sharp and you're like, yeah, I'm driving in Pune city traffic. And I'm like, and we drove these cars for 50 kilometers each. If there was need, we would have spent more time, but these cars are largely mechanically, they're the same, right? We just needed to cross check in case something had changed. So you're driving it in traffic and you realize that it does feel really sharp, like it's a little too responsive. But that jerkiness came from your throttle input and not the sense of lag that I had felt last time.
Okay.
So I spent the day with the Basalt, and then after that, I got into the Aircross the next day. And when I got into the Aircross, I thought, this feels a bit smoother. And I thought, how can that be? Maybe, do they have a tune that's different for it? And I thought, no, wait, it's a 17-inch wheel, so there's more inertia, so it's smoothening it out and all of that. But after I was done with the Aircross, I went back to the Basalt and I drove that. And I realized that it's not that different in terms of the experience between the two. There's a slight difference. So what I realized in that was that I had adapted to the throttle now, that sharpness of it, that now my foot was behaving in a more sensitive and calibrated
jerk
manner.
coming and sort of accounting for it.
It's actually not jerk from the sense of the lag and the power coming in. It's just how strong it can feel in that initial also.
Right.
So basically you have calibrated to that.
Right.
So I smoothened out. So what I'm trying to say is what was a bit of a stumbling block for me earlier. Now I realize that, and see, we've gone through an E20 calibration update and all of those things. Some minor tweaks may have happened in this process. Something has slightly calmed down even in that initial phase.
Got it.
And which means now it becomes a question of you adapting to it. And that's a matter of a few days and you'll be fine with that.
Got it.
The upside of this powertrain has been that it's always been so, as you go past that initial phase, it can be smooth or it can be punchy, whatever you want it to be. So that's the great thing about this powertrain, that it has that flexibility. So if you want to go quickly in traffic, it's done. No hassle. You want to travel quickly on the highway? No hassle. This is something we've seen with this car consistently, with this package of the chassis, the engine, the transmission, that is sitting at 100, 120 kilometers an hour, and it'll just feel like utterly relaxed. Utterly relaxed. That's how both these cars have been, with slight variations in their flavors, right? So that one stumbling block of the engine also seems to be kind of
up down this time.
Yeah, like it's no longer something that I'm consciously thinking about. When I was thinking back to the cars before our conversation here and trying to think of the things that I have to talk about, this wasn't the thing that came on top.
Right.
It was like, yeah, I have to mention this. I have to talk about how my thought process evolved around it. But it's not the red flag that I wanted to raise.
Understood.
Right? So that was the driving part of it. Suspension, like I said, Basalt, plush, quieter in the back seat than the Aircross. It's a funny thing. It does feel significantly quiet in the back seat. And I'm saying Basalt front seat versus back seat.
And do these still remain sort of like your comfort benchmarks for this class of cars? Because last time it was pretty close to saying there's just nothing else like this on the comfort front.
There is nothing else. Right. Because to say just take this and do anything, and I'm talking this will be Basalt specifically because the difference in suspension too.
Yeah, I remember you saying Aircross is a little bit more enthusiastic driver oriented, whereas the Basalt is a little bit more, hey, relax. The world is slightly distant from you right now.
Yeah. So Basalt is definitely like backseat experience. Amazing. Since then, we've had the Citroen come in, which offers a lot of space and flexibility and all of that. Lots of features as well, this ventilated seat base. But functionally, comfort is Basalt. There's no two ways.
Yeah, because on this Citroen, you said that the way it felt to drive suggests that it would be a far better EV than it is in the ICE format right now, if I remember correctly from first.
Because the suspension setup over there is the weak link.
Right.
Finished. Which means as spacious and practical that back seat is with its sliding second row and all of that, finally I don't want to travel in it.
Yep.
Right? It comes down to that. I mean, at standstill, brilliant. On the move, no. Right? So,
but what kind of door handles does the Citroen have?
Oh, the lovely pop-up style, non-motorized.
So you can have a door that opens with cool factor, or you can have a car that handles our roads well. I'm surprised that this is a difficult choice to make.
Okay, so...
And before you accuse us of being paid off by Citroen and all of that, we get physically, violently upset when we can see the better product and somehow we can't communicate the fact that that actually makes sense. That's all.
So, and another thing that we noticed this time, because we actually had the time with the cars together, was that it feels like the seats are slightly different between the cushioning, I mean. The seats themselves and the back seat is different. But the cushioning is slightly more plush in the Basalt versus the Citroen. So the Aircross. So the Aircross, when you get into it, immediately there's this sense of seriousness about it, especially the back seat, because you sit higher up. So I had Siran with me to help me out. So he was sitting in the back seat and he's telling me, from here I can see the hood. Right? Like, and he's a kid, right? So he could, he's like, so you're saying, yeah, I can sit much higher here. And so I can look further, but I prefer the Basalt because it's just more relaxed. I get more sense of space. And this is all like with the pictures, you'll see the knee room. Now, even though this has a third row of seats, the Aircross, the second row in the Aircross doesn't slide. And I think that is something I would have liked. I think any car with...
The XX version will fix it.
Yeah. No, man, I don't want to go there. No. For sure. So, as in what he's referring to is, I think, the next update. And he had asked this last time around. Do you think they can do it? Do you think they can be given another chance? And will people give them another chance, right? So, I think now it's whatever happens next has to take all the learnings of the last 3 years, and that has to be applied into one product, and that just gets it. I think
it might mean working on Fridays, maybe even some Saturdays, but sometimes you just have to.
The Aircross, the backseat straight away feels like not the prime real estate in this car. Very functionally strong because the seats are set high. There's good amount of space, but it doesn't feel open.
Got it.
Because you have that roof-mounted aircon
vent and stuff.
Yeah, it also has the blow controls over there, and you'll notice that there are aircon vents down below also, right? So those are actually for the third row.
Got it.
Right, so it just shafts air all the way to the back. And talking about the third row is completely removable. It's usable for children. Access to the third row is great. It has that one seat that folds
and whatever.
Whatever. So practically, again, it's on point. Child use, okay. and the seats are easy to remove.
So if your family use pattern is infrequent 7-seat use, you'll be okay with a.
And you remove those third row seats, and the boot is awesome.
Right.
It's massive, right? And on paper, it seems like that the Basalt is the better boot. It is in numbers, 470 liters.
You said it was class leading or something like that in MotorInc First, if I remember correctly.
Correct. So since then, I don't remember what the sequence was. Yeah, I think the Curve came after that, and the Curve claims to have 500 liters.
Yeah, so after that, if I remember the chronology is Curve, Citroen, and maybe one or two other cars.
Correct.
Were either brand new or received major updates since we last drove the Basalt.
Correct. Absolutely right. So, who's surprised about that? Huh?
I surprise myself all the time.
So this boot is also very practical. Once you remove the third row, especially because they can just be picked out of the car, put them in your house wherever you want, and then that boot is massive. You've got pics of that, you can see it. In the third row, creature comforts wise, now you have USB-C ports. There are cup holders, so basics are in place. Usable, yes.
Got it.
But this is the car where I would want to spend time in the front, clearly, in the driver's seat. Because of the suspension setup, because of that slightly better connection for the driver.
Yep.
It sets you in that mood of, let's go somewhere. Let's travel.
Yeah.
Like I want that boot loaded with luggage, camping gear, whatever, and family along, and just go. That's the kind of mood that it gets you into. And the Basalt is more like my city-focused mood, I would say.
Right.
Right? Where I'm saying that I need to commute every day.
Yeah. And what he's talking about is not like a deal breaker or a huge shift. It's just a subtle difference in how the two cars feel to drive. So it's not like the Basalt won't tour or the Aircross won't work in the city.
No, not at all.
So I just want to clarify that he's saying there is a subtle difference in the feeling where the Aircross feels a little bit more, let's go out, and the Basalt feels, let me isolate you from the world and keep you comfortable, and you will have a flavor preference.
Both cars will do both parts of life just as well. But there'll be one in which you'll feel a greater connect than the other. It's a question of which one of the two you prefer as an individual, right? That's all it comes down to. So the Aircross has that, and on the inside, now both these cars are getting leatherette upholstery, they are getting ventilated seats, all of which unsurprisingly works well, looks good. Again, I think some of the details that even Renault has done, Citroen have done for the cabins have been really, really handsome. And here also the leatherette upholstery for the seats, very handsome looking. Colors, the design, all of that. Simple, tasteful.
Wasn't the Basalt the one with the white interior for a bit?
Yeah, so they've shifted. You're right. It used to be white. Oh, and yeah, since you brought it up, it still has that adjustable...
my favorite, the cut.
Correct. The cut is there, and the cut is great.
They may not recognize the technical term, Karthik. Would you explain cut, please?
Cut is basically, as Shumesh put it, is the adjustable under thigh support that the Basalt gets for the back seat.
It used to be only in the top model.
Yeah.
Now is it in more models?
I'll put it up in whether it's in more variants or not. I think it's still in the top spec variant. And it's still, I think, a great feature, which again makes it more flexible for people of all heights.
And the Aircross never got the cut.
Aircross never got that. And Aircross still does not have it.
Got it.
So they have different upholstery colors, also combinations, which you'll see on the screen. If I remember correctly, the Basalt has black and tan, and the Aircross is largely tan, or it may be the other way around, but it's like that, and with a nice band in the middle between the two halves. Very smart looking seats, and as before, great seats. The main change here is the dashboard on the inside, which we hadn't gotten to up until now. And this dashboard is shared between the two cars. There's no difference. So it has a more contemporary shape, let's call it that, right? It looks modern.
The dashboard. The entire dash layout looks more... Sorry, explain?
Looks modern. It doesn't look simple or...
So sleeker, fatter...
Handsome.
Okay.
Handsome. like and there's a lower portion where there's this shelf on the passenger side, which has again tan upholstery, which has a dished out shape, which automatically feels like a place to keep stuff on, but it's not big enough to really keep much unless you.
Phone.
It's not big enough even for a regular normal sized phone.
Oh, not deep enough for the phone to go. Okay, got it.
Not wide enough.
Right.
It's you'll see it in the photos. It's like a very narrow little dip that goes in. Good looking, and the material also that's used there is like, a lot of cars nowadays get this looks like leatherette plastic.
Yeah, when you touch it, you're a little bit like, oh, come on.
This has
Leatherette.
Yeah, it has leatherette over there. It has a soft material there. It doesn't just look like it. So that change to the dashboard has made this look more premium. Along with that, they have new door pads. They have new textures. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is there's a very cool thing that happens because they now also have ambient lighting. And because of the new design for the door pads and the textures, that ambient lighting really looks nice. Because it's got like these geometric patterns into that. So the way the light comes out of it looks really nice. So I've got pictures of that on the door pad and the dashboard. So again, small little changes, but good impact, like in sense of the perception of premiumness.
Got it.
It works. Again, small things still remain which don't feel all that premium. Like the aircon vents plasticky. That looks and feels budget. The infotainment screen has always been large, and I've always liked how easy it is to use. That remains. But the UI always felt a bit blocky. When you see the images of it, you'll know it just feels blocky, and that continues to be the case now. And you realize, like, and through this journey, somewhere some things were done which were again focused on efficiency and of managing costs, because you realize that you have great controls for the aircon system, which are nice toggles. And this is an air conditioning system, which we said before, is super powerful. It goes down to 14 degrees, right? And the infotainment screen, all the controls for volume are there. There's no physical control for volume anywhere else. It's just on the steering and over there. So they've had no buttons for the infotainment, as it were. They're just on the screen. And that screen is, while it is good to use, now that this car has a 360-degree camera, you get that feed over there. And you realize that the feed is poor.
Okay.
The quality is not great. And worse still, and I'm sorry, it sounds like such a superficial thing, but that 360-degree camera module is a dealer fit solution.
Why?
Something to do with GST and something to do with timing and stuff like that. Anyways, the problem is, okay, you are not going to see that image. You guys will be seeing that image now. The front camera module sits on the grill like that, sticking out like that. That what they have in those French buildings, that gargoyle that sits on top. It's literally like that. That camera sitting over there on the nose, looking down like that. It looks like, how you've seen, you would have seen on buses.
Looks like this black spot over here.
You've seen how buses have the camera modules mounted? It's like that. Yes. And it's okay. You can look past it. Right? After some time, when I noticed it, I was like, no freaking way. Right? And then I went and checked at the boot. And the boot, again, it's a module that sits in the lip of the boot and pokes out from the rear. So it just, okay, once you notice it, you're like, okay.
So a little clearer still will solve it, right?
Shrink it down. So, okay, for the boot, anyways. So it looks aftermarket. It looks like an afterthought. It feels like an afterthought, even on the inside. That resolution today does not cut it for any car that is going to be in this class.
So this is a dealer-fitted accessory, you said. So we should actually classify it correctly. So it's a DFAT. It's a DFAT. Dealer-fitted afterthought.
And it's 25,000 rupees. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of thought.
So And I thought that, man, what would it be like on the ORVMs if this is for front and back? ORVM integration was fine. I don't know how, why that one was okay, but these two, not.
Okay.
The front and rear. And it feels flimsy. Like the nose cam is just like, I'm thinking like if I go into anything, that's the first thing that's gonna get damaged. It's the first thing that's there. It's literally sitting on a crossbar of the grill, and it's like it's been bolted onto that. Because it's black and black, you won't notice it
So
that
if the
much.
front camera is called the nose cam, what's the back camera called?
That's why I was stuck over the clear sill also. I don't use clear
Nose
sill.
cam sounds bad enough, you know.
Okay, sorry, man. But so that 360 cam just.
Okay, are the images at least okay when they come?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not. I mean, when you're sitting inside, it's grainy. And it uses a small portion of the screen. It's not using the entire real estate to show you stuff.
Got it.
So it feels like it's been patched in, right? So as much as it would be helpful for some, and if you need it, you can definitely go for it. I don't think, again, it's a deal breaker. It's a convenience thing that's coming in for you. But if you don't need it and you're experienced, you're already well comfortable with driving cars that are of that size, you don't need to get one.
Yeah. Fill your car with fuel and drive a longer distance instead. That's what they do better.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And so those small things still feel like, it will make people take notice.
Okay, so just so that we can understand how you're judging this. So do you think that they took... do you think what happened was that they were supposed to take 5 steps forward with this generation, but they only taken 3 steps forward? Or do you feel like they took 7 steps forward and for some reason that we do not understand, they took another 3 steps backward again?
No, so the way I would think of it was, if they needed to take 5 steps forward, they've taken 4.
Okay.
It's as simple. There's nothing going back, because this accessory, let's say, don't go for it. You have a reversing cam, use that, right? That's your primary, concern if at any given point in time, any which way. So you can just go with that. The last bit are the things that are all the small things which you'll realize, like when you then sit and compare with other cars, right? People will say, this doesn't have a sunroof.
That's a good thing.
It doesn't have rear sunshades, which I would have liked, right? It does have cruise control. It has a rear wiper, but does it have automatic headlamps? Does it have auto wipers?
Car drivers need these things also to happen for them by the vehicle. They can't figure out when to turn on the wipers and headlights by themselves.
So much to do in life, dude.
Oh my God.
While this... So these are those things that are not... Okay, I'll tell you one thing that I would have liked, which is not there in this car, like a tilt and telescopic steering. It only has tilt steering adjustment. So these are those small things that you'll see that, this is...
And the rivals have tilt and telescope.
Yeah. So like the Aircross, the top spec variant, costs about 13.7 lakhs.
Okay.
Which is great value. And for this spec of car, 100%. But at that same price point, unbelievably so, is also a Creta. Automatic.
Yeah.
Right? With tilt and telescopic steering. With a panoramic sunroof. But it doesn't have the rear wiper. It doesn't have the ventilated seats, the leatherette upholstery, all of that. But that's the Creta. And for so many people, it will be like, do I buy a Creta?
And yeah, that's your default start point for a purchase of this price point.
Exactly. So this has brought both these cars into a space where you're like, check it out. Like, I will 100% tell...
But you're not convinced that checking it out automatically, you say, that's it.
Correct.
I'm done here.
I can't... It doesn't push them into that space.
Understood.
As yet either.
Understood.
Because it is going to be those small things, because people are looking at this not just as... of course, there's the logic and there's the emotion side of it.
No, and look, we cannot disregard the fact that emotion and status are part of how cars are purchased today at every single level of the market. And a manufacturer who does not cater to that taste is devaluing the car in some random, intangible way, perhaps. But it is true.
Yeah, absolutely. Because just from... Okay, like it's such a small thing, but imagine... I'm sorry, disregard it if you want, but Siran was with me, right? And he's, while I was checking tire pressures or something, he's fiddling around with the cars. And he was just talking about the levers. He's like, oh, these feel so. What I can't remember the word he used, but I know exactly what he meant because for the seat adjustment, the levers are so springy, almost a little bit heavy and all, right? So that touch point got him a little bit on the back foot.
Right.
Right. He noticed that. He noticed the touchscreen infotainment system.
Yeah.
And these are the things that add up. These are the small things. You will notice the plastics on the aircon vents.
Correct.
The new dashboard design looks good, but when you notice that, you'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
little bit on the back foot.
I totally understand it. So we are going through a phase where a lot of motorcycle manufacturers are adding TFT screens. And TFT screens means you have like infinite graphics possibilities. And a lot of people are attracted to the flashiest designs. And I understand it. It's the first time you're seeing it. I am at 2700 of the designs, and I keep going back to the simpler and easier to read at speed designs being superior. Right? So in terms of status and attraction, it's the flashy designs that attract you first. In terms of usability, it's the least flashy designs that actually work in the long run. But it gives me a way to judge where you are in your motorcycle journey too. I'm not saying I judge you as inferior or superior, but I judge you as fresh and older. So the more experienced a motorcyclist you are, the more you're going to say, look, I don't need the gimmicks. I don't need them.
Yeah.
Can I see the speed at one glance as I'm going down the highway? It's good enough.
Correct.
If I'm in rain mode, digital rain needs not be falling on my screen. It's okay. If it says the word rain large enough and clear enough, we are close enough.
Yeah.
That.
So good you brought this up for the screen, because I feel Citroen has done such a sneaky little fetish to everybody.
Oh, really?
Because everybody was complaining about the digital instrument cluster. Oh, it's so small. What's the point of this? So they've gone and given you a proper flat screen style screen now, right? And I think it's a 7-inch display with large bezels, but it looks good. It looks rectangular and all of that. But functionally, I don't think there's any difference between this screen and the old screen. And that is absolutely fine with me, because that was a simple, easy to use, well laid out display.
People who have these in their lives, they do want more inches in their screens. I mean,
So, the size has gone up a little bit, but the entire layout, the menu system of that, to me, felt exactly the same as before. They have not changed anything in that.
why would they?
Exactly.
Scalable vector graphics is a thing.
So they have only done what people asked for, saying, "Oh, this is not a big enough screen. This doesn't look cool." So they've gone and chip out one.
And there are manufacturers who get this wrong by increasing the bezels and not the screen.
Yeah.
So when the bike is off or the car is off, you see this fat bezel and say, oh, huge screen. Then you turn it off and like this, that much.
So this has that also. This also, the screen is this much, but on the side of it, it's that much black space.
Nice.
It's like, must be that much. So it looks like that rectangular new screen. And I was just like, oh my God, what are we doing to ourselves? Right?
We are passing through a phase. It's a phase.
And now we're going to have more 3-screen cars.
Yeah, look, my favorite example of this has always been PowerPoint, and it will remain PowerPoint till the day I die. When PowerPoint came out, they gave you 10 fonts and 32 transitions and 45 graphics patterns. And for the first 5 years, we all felt compelled to use all of them in every slide if we possibly could, right? It took a while to understand that that's not actually helping the presentation at all. Right? Correct. And eventually the greatest presentation I have seen, I used to work in a software organization, and there was a guy called David Byers, and he would come and make presentations about the new upcoming software or whatever. He would have one word per slide, and he would talk about what was going on. So there was no distraction from the presentation itself. It was just a reminder saying we are talking about this feature. Right? This organization's head was a guy called Dangerman, and Dangerman would actually do his presentations on transparencies, and he'd have two projectors running simultaneously. It was a map-based thing, right? So he had to show graphics. So he had two of them, and he had two remotes. And he would say, so if you look at this, this is happening, and they click the other one and say, if you look at this. And he ran through the presentation really quickly. But each slide that he made had one thing on it. But we came to this point later, right? We didn't start here. Everybody's presentations were like, I think I should put 3 headlines.
I remember wanting to use all the transitions.
And this slide will come like this, and the other one come. Yeah. It's a phase. We're passing through that phase.
Correct. So they've given into the things that people demanded. I think some of the things that people demanded were necessary also.
Sure.
And I think some of the things that people demanded weren't necessary, but they've done them anyways.
No, so look, I'm saying that look at it as good versus evil, right? We are saying Citroen built a 85% good car.
Yeah.
But the 15% good that they failed to create was an intangible, aspirational, status-oriented good. But that led the sales to being, instead of commensurate to that 85% good that they built, 35% of what it should have been. So they're saying, oh, you want the intangibles? Okay, let's see what we can do. And they've done what they think is the best they can do so far.
Right.
And you're saying, effectively, there are two small misses that they've made, which would have step this further away, which one of them is the sliding second row of the seat, is one thing that you mentioned. And the other thing you mentioned is the flap type door handle and the keyhole and whatever.
The 360 cam integration, I think.
Three things, right? So if they'd fixed those three things, you would have said, okay, they moved 100% forward.
Correct.
If the sales go from 35 to 50% in the process of expectation, they are doing better than it started out. Is it commensurate or not is something that is...
And that's exactly it for me. Like I was telling you, that now this car becomes straight up. You're going to tell somebody, if you're looking to buy anything in this space,
Must check this out.
You must check this out. Do not ignore it now, right? Do not say that it's not cool enough. Now you go check it out, and then you decide whether the dealership is close enough, whether it's making sense for you.
No, and the traditional pattern of the Indian car buyer and the motorcycle buyer to some extent, especially in the lower price classes where safety of purchase is a major thing, you will still probably end up with the market leader on pure momentum.
Yeah.
It happens to the motorcycle, the economy class motorcycle also. Not a surprise at all and not a bad thing at all either. But what the rivals are trying to do is give you more and more options. And some of these options will be stronger than the market leader's propositions, which, for example, in scooters is like dead obvious. The Activa is the least capable scooter you can buy, although it is the largest selling scooter. And there is a reason why the two of them go together hand in hand. It's not adversarial, right? In that sense, what he's saying is, if you buy a car in this price band today, you will probably end up with a Creta, which is why it is the market leader. But now Citroen has given you enough in these two cars to say, look, don't ignore these cars because Citroen. No, go check out the Basalt. Go check out the Aircross. You might find a powerful reason to consider these cars more seriously than the last time around.
And talking about powerful, there is, from a driving experience standpoint, it is a very powerful reason, because these things which would get in the way earlier of you, feeling like you've kind of compromised, they're not going to get in the way. And when you drive these cars, those small aspects of the car, like the chassis, the suspension, the steering, all of those are so rewarding and so enjoyable, which is why the Aircross, I always end up thinking that, man, you want to travel with it. And in this regard, there's one thing that I want to highlight. In the driving process, it just kind of came to my head that, when the Skoda VWs came, the Taygun and the
That pause was to figure out whether the A is before the I or not.
So the Taygun and the Kushaq came, and we were kind of surprised by the size of them because they were smaller than the rivals.
Right.
And it's the same thing here as well. You will feel that difference. That these feel slightly a size smaller, half a size smaller, not a size smaller. So then that in-between space, and we've said this before as well, they're in that in-between space between a sub 4 meter and a full-size, let's say, Creta, in terms of the space on the inside, like the cabin.
So when you Creta? Between the two.
Between the two, right? But practicality wise, like if you look at boot root and all of that, both cars are way ahead of the Creta or anything else that you're going to be looking at in this space.
Got it.
So it's just going to be a perception adjustment that you will have to do. For 4 adults, incredibly comfortable. So if you think about, if I just say, forget about the badge for a second, they're exactly in the same space as a Skoda and VW, and they're SUVs in this space, where VW is slightly more driver focused and Skoda is more comfort focused, right?
Got it.
Those are the differences. That's exactly what's happening between the Aircross and the Basalt, but to a greater extent, I feel. And in a great way, because both of these cars feel so at home in India as well,
right?
Which I can't say for the European, these also European.
For the Germans.
The German and the Czech cars, right? Because their suspensions better, one is firmer, but they're both innately not relaxed on Indian roads. So that was the thought that came up in my head as to how to think about these two cars when you are approaching them, right? Instead of a Creta, if you think more Skoda VW and their product offerings and draw a line from there, you'll find that they stack much closer and you'll be able to make more sense of them that way.
Understood. Yeah. Quick summary?
Yes, sir.
Here's the quick summary of the updated X models of the Basalt and the Aircross. What you need to know is Karthikeya has always been very impressed driving these cars. I'm not going to go into the spec because the fundamental mechanicals of the cars haven't changed. What you need to know is we've only ever driven the 1.2 liter turbocharged engine, which is appearing on the higher models and the top models. We've never driven the 1.2 naturally aspirated engine at all. These engines are punchy, they're easy to drive, and they have both those moods. You can drive it peacefully and not have the engine interrupt your flow, or you can say, I'm in the mood to drive a little bit more swiftly and have the engine respond to that as well. We've always driven the automatics on these, and we've always felt that the automatics were a little bit jerky, especially in the throttles off, and I'm just coming on the throttle part. Karthikeya thought that somehow between the E20 calibration, OBD phase 2, whatever, that jerk has been reduced a little bit, and once he adapted the car, he never actually realized that there was a jerk at all. So this is going to feel like a challenge on your test drive, but it is more of a challenge than it is with living with the car. Aside from this, these have both been very impressive cars to sit and drive in. They both drive well from the driver's seat. The Aircross is slightly better if that's your mood. They are also comfortable to sit in and get driven. The second row, where the Basalt is slightly better. The Aircross is the 7-seater, but the last 2 seats are sort of +2 seats. You can use them in a pinch, but it is not something that's saying, oh, we're a family of 7 and we go everywhere together. Aircross may not be the greatest idea unless there are 2 of those family members who don't really like talking to all of the time and you stick them in the back. However, even there, the amenities, and that is one of the changes with the X model, they've all gone up. So even that row now has USB ports and cup holders, and the aircon vent row is still in front of the second row, but it is designed to vent to the rear row this time. And if you have an Aircross, you don't have a 7-member family, take the seats out and enjoy a very, very nice and large boot. The Basalt, it is a 5-seater, already has a very large boot anyway. Design-wise, no major changes. There are flap-type door handles, just like they were before. But what Karthikeya's point about that is, first, they've been replaced with this idea that the pop-out door handles are somehow superior. When they are non-motorized, they are not. He drove the Tesla Model Y, and that showed how that thing is supposed to work and why everything else is an inferior copy of the original pop-out door handle, A. B, if a flap-type door handle distracts you from how good these cars are to drive, then maybe you need to reconsider your decision process a little bit. I know we've said this for Citroen over and over and over again. Our primary issue with Citroen has always been how they've packaged their cars in terms of appeal, and underneath them, they've always been good cars to drive. They still are. What Karthikeya is saying now is, in the changes that they've made, which is a rescaling of the dash, updates to the seats, addition of ventilated seats, no addition of sunroofs, thank God, and so on and so forth, they've actually created a car which is even more appealing, which led Karthik to say, if you're buying a car in this class, there are strong rivals like the Creta in the class, and when you just below these cars or whatever. But today, he's convinced that despite small issues like a non-sliding second row of seats, the dealer-fitted accessory kit contains the 360-degree camera, and it is a very poor integration as far as he can tell, software and hardware both. Small issues like this, you should ignore those issues and you should check out this car because it is a potent, enjoyable set of cars to drive, the Basalt and the Aircross. Yes, you may not decide for them, and that's fine, but you shouldn't feel later like we didn't warn you that these cars will cause FOMO when you get something else and then realize somebody else's Basalt drives better than yours.
It just so happened, a friend of mine, he's just bought a Jimny, and because he wants to travel, and we met, and I had the Aircross with me, and he's looking at it, and as I was describing the car to him, and it was like, in his head, it's like, oh, this is the kind of car I would want, right? Because he just wants to travel. He wants to go to places where roads will not be great and all of that. And I was telling him, no, I have so much boot space and it can take bad roads so well. And this, I could see in his face, and I was like, oh, I know what's happening in there. So I think there will be a set of people for whom it will make a lot of sense and should definitely check it out.
Would you like to give a one-line summary of the Basalt and the Aircross in your French accent?
To be done with this discussion, and I think it is a beautiful step that has been taken, but Citroen must make a bigger step as well to come with a new product, which is just setting the tone for Citroen completely all over again. Now we go to QFC, okay? Okay, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, we're going to jump straight to the end of the video. We are going to be going to a section called QFC, which is questions from circles, and these are questions that were asked on the MotorInc app in circles, and we're going to be getting to that now. Yeah. All right, I think that's good. That's
more cars coming.
So yeah, we do have some new cars coming, and there's the Octavia RS.
VRS.
What is it really? I'm going to ask them.
The logo has always been a VRS.
Yes.
And the first time I heard the term VRS was when Bajaj was trying to get rid of some of its workforce and had a voluntary retirement scheme. So when the Octavia RS comes out and I see the VRS, I just burst out laughing. But that's just me.
मुझे भी RS चाहिए. Okay, so that's there. Then there's the venue, and so those
Venue
two.
is also such a strange name for a car if you think about it. They gotten used to it clearly. Creta, Venue, they're not doing the
I
cars
think the
any
Hyundai,
favors.
if any normal name came, we'd be surprised.
Yeah.
So venue is there, and then
Like they're making a car for me. I believe it's called the i50.
I-50.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
i50.
बर्थडे आ रहा है सर का. ठीक है. There are a few more after that, but we'll talk about them when we get there. What about you?
I have an invitation from a electric bike manufacturer that I've never heard of before.
Nice.
Sometimes. They are
No, I'm saying nice because he's going clearly because we're talking about it.
these are some of the most chaotic events that you usually attend because they've never done it before, and you have to give them the credit saying they're trying. But at the same time, you're like, oh my god, I'm suffering because of the chaos. So we're supposed to be riding the machine, but I don't know how long we'll get to ride it. Will it be a
Device.
Logically laid out thing? Will the calibrations work or not? We'll see. And what else? Apart from that, we had the international spec Enduro R in here for a bit. Long story short, there's no reason for you to consider buying it. Save your money, buy the normal ones. Ride hard until you're capable of exploiting the 200 suspension fully. And at that point, which could be 2.5, 3 years from now, if you want to spend money and get the longer travel suspension, there's just no reason to do it.
Great advice, I think.
Yeah. And apart from that, we are at festival season more or less. So Motorverse will have new Royal Enfields coming out and all of that, and which we will not comment on because we don't guess and speculate. So if they launch something, we'll have something to say after we ride those bikes, and so on and so forth.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's wrap this.
And what you should know is if you love MotorInc First is free to watch on the app. It always drops first on the app, and the MotorInc app has always been free to download. Thank you so much for watching.